there's one or two more vacancies, it's going to be very slim for the next couple of months. If Republicans can come together and vote for it, they don't need the Democrats. But if they say are divided, then it's up to Democrats to say, do we want to play ball and allow for a government shutdown?
Welcome to The Debrief, where we talk with the Washington Examiner's top journalists about the headlines they're covering and where the story's going next. I'm Sarah Bedford, and I'm here with magazine editor David Mark. David, the House has passed a resolution to write this one big, beautiful bill we've been hearing so much about. But there's very little chance that it will be written, reconciled with the Senate, and on Trump's desk before the government funding runs out on March 14th, right?
Right. There's a bunch of moving parts on Capitol Hill. That is part of this push to extend the 2017 tax law, the first time Trump was president. Not to get too in the weeds about it, but they need what's called a budget resolution on Capitol Hill, which is just what it sounds like. It's an outline of spending. More immediately, the government is set to run out of money on midnight, March 14th, which is going back to last year's funding bills. And unless there's some kind of resolution to that, government shuts down. And that could be on all kinds of things, particularly with all the federal layoffs going on with the Department of Government Efficiency. So the real question is, can Republicans unify and pass their own spending bill just until the end of the fiscal year, which is September 30th of this year? Or do they need to draw in Democrats to potentially vote for the bill, which has its own set of complications?
Let's talk about DOGE a little bit, because DOGE has been really irritating Democrats, going through slashing the federal workforce, cutting spending. Could Republicans make a shutdown politically work to their advantage? I mean, would a shutdown kind of fit with exactly what Donald Trump's trying to do right now?
Well, that would be the real bet for Republicans, and say, hey, we were elected to slow and chop off big parts of the federal government, and it's those Democrats who are trying to block us. Who knows what the politics would actually be of a government shutdown? The tricky part of that for Republicans is they do control the presidency, Senate, and House. So the retort for Democrats is going to be like, hey, you're the ones running the government. We're voting no on this. We told you we don't like this stuff, so it's your responsibility. Shutdown politics are really tricky. They can go either way. So I don't think either side really wants to go down that route.
Do you see Democrats angling to avoid a shutdown, though, or are Democrats kind of just saying, do it, go for it, you know?
Well, it's not clear exactly what kind of leverage they would have. It's possible, however unlikely, that congressional Republicans get their act together and they actually have enough votes on their own to pass some kind of spending bill. It hasn't really worked that way for the most part because there's a decent size, but not huge Senate majority, 53-47 for Republicans. In the House, once there's one or two more vacancies, it's going to be very slim for the next couple of months. If Republicans can come together and vote for it, they don't need the Democrats. But if they say are divided, then it's up to Democrats to say, do we want to play ball and allow for a government shutdown? After all, Democrats are the ones who have been arguing against government shutdowns for years, decades now. So to turn around and be like, yeah, no big deal, that might not play so well.
And finally, Donald Trump is sort of the X factor in this and everything, honestly.
Yeah.
Do you think that he's been more helpful to Republicans in the sort of hands-off role he's taken, letting the House and Senate kind of duke it out themselves? And do you think he'll have to take a more hands-on role to get these two bills, the Senate and the House version, reconciled?
I think he's been pretty strategic, if that term can be applied to Donald Trump at all. And then he's kind of come in at the last minute when votes were really needed, both in the Senate and House. It happened just recently when there were some House Republicans wavering on this budget resolution that sets up the vote later in coming months on the tax bill. There's Congresswoman Victoria Spartz, Republican of Indiana. She was wavering. There's some reports that Trump effectively yelled at her by phone, and that team seemed to flip her vote, and some others as well. In the Senate, when Pete Hegseth's nomination was up for defense secretary, Republican Senator Tom Tillis apparently was wavering, and Trump helped persuade him to vote in favor of the administration. So I think he's probably most effective by coming in at specific points, but kind of laying low otherwise, to the degree he's ever willing to do that.
Well, David, thank you so much for being here today.
Thank you.
You can get more reporting from David and the rest of the political team at washingtonexaminer.com.